Hello everybody, my name is Jesse. I'm with Lakes Environmental and I'll be conducting the introduction of the forecasting module in this system that we have that integrates all the air quality modules. So we have emissions module, we have forecasting module, modeling modules, permitting, maps, etc. Right now we're presenting the forecasting module. We have taped previous webinars. If you need to have access to them or interested in looking at them, they are available. So a quick introduction here. Why do we need a forecasting module? It assures compliance, and it also permits that you have any idea if you're going to hit a community, and if you have odor as an example, are they going to complain? Is this just a nuisance problem, or is it a problem that is related to regulatory, or is it a lawsuit? So you need to protect certain areas. We can also address those. We have situations where clients are required to avoid hitting certain areas with impact. And this can be odor, could be things like SO2, could be dust, and we can then forecast what will happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. This facilitates operational procedures. We have a refinery, it's a case in point, where they cannot hit a specific tribe, and with above a certain limit on certain information. And then they can schedule their production and day-to-day operation such that when it goes and hit that tribe, they know it will hit in the next 24 to 48 hours. We specifically say hour by hour, and they can change the way they operate such that it will not cause a problem. People can also, and the many clients we have that use this forecast tool that work really well, they can schedule maintenance, they can schedule startup such that if it's startup and we'll have some inconveniences, or even ambient monitor stations placed by regulatory agencies, they will not hit those and cause an impact. So as I said, regulatory compliance is one of the highest use for this. A nuisance is the second highest. We have clients saving millions of dollars. Let me just describe that there are certain operations that if they exceed regulatory limit, they have to shut down the entire operation. And this very large complex, if they stop, it costs them per stoppage $10 million, and they were having about 4 per year. So it's a savings of about 40 million because after they start using our forecasting module in AQMIS, they never had any exceedance or need to stop our program for 12 years, have not failed a single prediction. There are many industries using this: cement, pulp and paper, smelters, nuclear, 6 nuclear reactors in South Korea. All the nuclear reactors are using our forecasting tool. That's also for regulatory purposes, petrochemical, etc. And it's not just forecasting. Forecasting is very difficult, but we need to have supporting tools to do that. We keep the history of emissions, the history of what happened, emergency response, real-time and forecasting, the maps with a historian to show what has happened and what will happen, also visualization, etc. Alarms. I will quickly display the architecture of the system, not for you to become an expert, but for you to have some sense on what goes together. We get information from the ambient monitoring stations. You can have 3 or 300. You can absorb all that information. If you have meteorological stations, we absorb that. We also get data, meteorological data from satellites. We need to forecast those. You can get data from continuous emissions monitoring systems, and we register all this such that we can do the forecast and the management of the events. For the weather forecasting, we use this model called WRF, Weather Research and Forecasting, and it's pronounced not WRF, but like the gentleman on Star Trek, Mr. Worf. And we get the facility information, emissions or plans for emissions. We indicate how much it needs to reduce or kind of process need to change to reduce those events. We can get local met stations. We also get global data. We pass through WRF. And then we have wind fields, current and forecasted. And then we can apply very advanced models. We will see these models, what they are, and which ones we can use. And this is just the type of data that needs to go in. We take control of that and the maps, and then we produce plume animation, see what will be happening with your plumes, your impact. We also have a historian, this is one of them, that will register how the plume behave for those events. We register all that. We support all types of sources that emit to the atmosphere. You can see a large list here. We know what's happening or what needs to reduce, make sure we're in compliance or avoid nuisance, odor, dust, etc. So the advanced models include SCIPUFF, CALPUFF, and one that I don't list there, ALSTAL. ALSTAL for odor would be the way to go. You can see here on this picture that if we're emitting odor, we can see all the wind fields that will go in between the buildings and how the odor will propagate. This is a non-Gaussian model. We can take it down to second level, minute level without a problem. Photochemical models, we're fond of the WRF-Chem, but we can use CMAC and ChemX. Those are great models as well to forecast ozone, etc. Dust models, wind-blown dust in the desert in the Middle East. I have used that and forecast well emergency releases, estimate how to respond, because we can say not in a linear model like with simple models like SLAB, but with the three-dimensional emergency models to follow terrain and other problems. Ambient monitor stations, as I indicated, we can absorb 1,000 monitor stations simultaneously. And the beauty of this can also continuously compare, and we do that. We have most likely more experience comparing model versus measure than anybody else in the world, because we do this continuously with the sites that we forecast, and we know what's happening and what caused that not to reflect the concentration that is being measured. So we can have the models representing very accurately measured numbers. Before we go to the demonstration, I'll pass the demonstration to Mr. Michael Johnson and for the demonstration of this. But what we're going to see is a system like this. And before he goes on, I'll explain to you, would have a wind field. We can have the wind field display or not, the plume, and we can animate this plume. Can see what happened in the past and future, and this is an example of a historian. It saved the impact from this source and the concentration, what happened in the past. It can forecast also and show similarly, as we're displaying here, what will happen in the next 24 hours and so on. This is the type of animation that we see with wind field and all, or without wind field. I'll stop now, and Mr. Michael Johnson will take the helm.